Good day, everyone. My topic for this day is all about Mendel's law of inheritance. But before anything else, let us know first who is Gregor Mendel and why he is called with such name. Gregor Johann Mendel was born on July 22, 1822 in Austria. In the year 1856, he started his famous experiment, and later, 1866, he represented his paper, namely Experiments in Plant Hybridization at Natural History Society of Brunn. But unfortunately, his work remained unnoticed at that time. In 1900s, Hugo de Vries, Karl Correns, and Erich Sharmark rediscovered his findings and postulated three laws that are known as Mendel's law of inheritance. This opened a new field in biological science known as genetics. Thus, he became man of science, man of genetics, or commonly known as father of genetics. So now let us proceed with the first Mendel's law of inheritance, which is inherited characters are transmitted by genes which occur in pairs called alleles. Basically, it means that the inherited phenotype or physical and observable characteristics are transmitted through a genetic makeup or genotype which occur in pairs called allele. When we say allele, one of two or more alternative forms of genes. Gene is viewed as a region of DNA that contains information necessary to manufacture a specific polypeptide or protein. So, to illustrate that, let me share the concept of gene expression. The P shape, which is round or wrinkled, is related to the type of carbohydrate stored in the seed. For round, it contains starch, and for wrinkled, it contains sugar. According to the book, a high sugar concentration is thought to cause seeds accumulate water during development. Then, as they mature and dry out, this seed become wrinkled. The allele for round seed is the normal form of the gene. It codes for an enzyme that enables the seed to make starch from sugar. The allele for wrinkled seed codes for defective enzyme, one that cannot make starch from sugar. Thus, the seed contains sugar and accumulates water, leading to its wrinkled state. The key terms used are genotype, genetic makeup of an individual; phenotype, physical expression of an individual's gene; alleles, one of two or more alternative forms of genes. The second Mendel's law of inheritance states that principles of dominance when two alternative forms of the gene, that is, two different alleles, are present in an individual, often only one, the dominant allele, is expressed. Meaning, recessive allele will always be masked by dominant allele. A cross between a homozygous dominant and a homozygous recessive will always express the dominant phenotype. Law of dominance can be explained with the help of monohybrid cross experiment. Mendel first selected some pure tall pea plant and some dwarf pea plant and crossed them. After crossing, he found out all the plant in first generation or F1 generation are all tall. On the second generation, he represented a diagram called Punnett square. He tried to cross all the F1 hybrid and found out that the dwarfness reappear in some plant. Therefore, the result will be, on first generation, all dominant characteristic express. On the second generation or F2 generation, the dominant and the recessive characteristics are expressed, which gave a ratio of 3 is to 1. Key terms used: monohybrid cross between two individuals in which only one characteristics at single locus is studied. Locus, location of particular gene on a chromosome. Punnett square shows all possible combination of gametes. Homozygous, possessing a pair of identical alleles for a particular gene. Heterozygous, possessing a pair of unlike alleles of a particular gene. The third law of inheritance states that principle of segregation. When gametes form in meiosis, the two alleles of each gene, which are found on homologous chromosomes, segregate from each other, and each gamete receives only one allele for each gene. This law is also known, or this principle is also known as law of purity of gametes. Remember the F2 generation or the second generation I have discussed a while ago. There is the reappearance of recessive trait in F2 generation which proves the law. So the last is the principle of independent assortment, which states that when two or more characters are examined in a single cross, each character is inherited without relation to other characters. This is based on dihybrid cross. When a dihybrid forms gamete, assortment of alleles of different traits independent of their original combination is the parents. First, Mendel selected a wide variety of pea plant. Yellow, which have round seeds, and green, which have wrinkled seeds. He then applied the artificial cross, and the result for first generation, all yellow and round. For the second generation or the F2 generation, he then allowed the selfing of F2 generation plants, which gave the result of four: yellow and round, yellow wrinkled, green round, and green wrinkled. We have the two parental combination and two new combination. So the ratio for that is 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. The second generation proves the law of independent assortment. Term use dihybrid involves individuals differing in two character at two loci.